tests become toxic when they start changing the way we think and feel about education. They become toxic when we start using the wrong tool the wrong way. But when we hold kids' graduation to that, that's toxic.
Judy is currently a retired educator. Her last life adventure was running for the state senate for the 26th legislative district. Prior to that, for 5 years, she was the local president for the South Kitsap Education Association in Port Orchard. In that capacity, she also served on the Olympic Uniserve board and worked closely with the bargaining team on one of the toughest bargains the district had experienced for many years. She'd worked in South Kitsap School District since 1982 as a general and special educator, primarily with elementary students. She knows the damage that is done by one-size-fits-all testing. She also has experience teaching special needs students in Lake Washington School District, and prior to that, 6 years in Beaverton, Oregon, teaching general education. Judy has a vast wealth of knowledge to share with us. Please welcome her to the stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here today on this day off. And of course, we know that it's a non-paid day off. So thank you for being here. I am Judy Arbogast. I've been an educator for 40 plus years. And I've had the privilege to work with students who have had learning issues, medical issues, those who were deemed general education. I've worked with educators and parents of all of those students. This great emphasis on testing all students with a one-size-fits-all system is failing our students. It is destroying public education, and it must stop.
Amen.
Since 2001, we have had an increase from 6 to 17 federally mandated tests, in addition to all of the state and local tests that are being given. What do tests tell us? They tell us which students are able to take tests well. They do not tell us progress. They do not tell us what the student knows. They certainly don't show us growth or achievement, and are the farthest thing from being able to tell us how well you are teaching. Scores can be predicted based on zip code and economic status. Right. So why do we waste the time? Yeah. These tests do not serve our students with special needs. In my district this year, since the students with IEPs are able to take a Smarter Balance test at different grade levels, they get to be the guinea pigs for the district for how these Smarter Balance tests will run. That is not right. These students should be in the classroom learning the skills that they need to be adults. They cannot afford this time off to waste time on tests that their score has been pretty well predetermined. Since having an IEP, we already know they're behind. Hello. These tests do not serve our students, such as one that we have at South Kitsap High School. He has been able to complete his classes. He has good grades, all the while suffering from schizophrenia. And last year, the day that he was scheduled to take his reading and math test, he knew from the time he got up he was not going to do well. He knew something was wrong. He was not mentally able to take that test. He has done everything under the sun to be successful and to get that high school diploma. One test is standing in his way. These tests do not serve our students who are English language learners. We have students who have been taking English for only 3 years. I learned of another example of a girl who has passed all of her classes. Her reading test, she did very well on. Mind you, this is her second language. And she did well on the math test. But the language that is her native language does not have those little words like the and a. You know, those little words that we stick in the English language? So she failed the writing section, even though everyone who read her answers could say what she said answered the question beautifully. She was able to do the writing and everybody could understand it, but she left out those little articles, and she is at risk from not graduating from high school because of that one test. We have students who are undergoing such stress that the high school counselors are telling me they should be offering stress relief classes for our high school students. They would be willing to do it after hours, whenever possible. They do not have the time to offer anti-stress classes for these students who are being stressed by these high-stakes tests. It is wrong. We also had students doing makeup tests. They didn't pass the test last year on one section or another. So they were scheduled during finals week of the first semester. Talk about a stress. Let's make up this test you failed last year, but let's do it during finals week when you're trying to pass your current classes. It's ridiculous, it is ludicrous, and it has to stop. These tests are taking valuable instruction time, just as our previous speaker talked about. They're taking valuable learning time. We all need to work together to correct this. But I have a different, an added message today. Before you leave Olympia today, I hope you will take the dash bus or your car or walk up to the Capitol and leave a direct message with all of your legislators. Tell them what you've learned today. Give them your address, your phone number, and ask them to contact you if they have any questions about this ridiculous farce that is being put on our students. I ask you to write to them. Write letters, write emails, make phone calls, and don't stop until they respond to you. I have a senator that is great at ignoring me. But you know what? It's only made me stronger. I've become much more stubborn. And every time I'm in Olympia, I stop. And I try to get that appointment. I try to talk to her. I leave messages with her aides. We need to be persistent. The legislators don't know what we know. Parents and teachers, we have to be the voice and educate our legislators. So before you leave Olympia today, what can you do? Educate your legislators. When you get home tomorrow, what can you do? You can write. You can make a phone call to your legislators. You need to educate your legislators. And I encourage every one of you to do it. Do it today and do that repeatedly until they get the message that this testing is toxic. We know that it takes multiple measures. When we measure our kids on our door jambs at home, we don't do it when they're 4 years old and again when they're 18. We do that often. And some in periods of growth spurts, we might measure our kids every month. But we're seeing the progress. We know where they are. And our teachers do that every day in classrooms. Teachers can tell you exactly where the kids are. We don't need these toxic tests. What do we need to do? Educate our legislators. We know to qualify for special programs, whether it's gifted or whether it's special education. You need multiple measures over time. You know that. Parents, we all know that. What do we need to do? Educate your legislators. We can't leave it for other people to do. You know, and I've been as guilty of this in the past. Oh, somebody else will talk to them. No, it's up to every one of us here to talk to your legislators, send them this message, and keep on doing it over and over again until they get the message. These tests are moving targets. They don't tell us what our kids do. We know that every one of our kids shows all of the variations and strengths and weaknesses across the spectrum. How many parents here have more than one child who are exactly the same? I doubt there's anyone. Certainly none of the kids in my neighborhood would all fit in the same little one-size-fits-all peg. And even as adults, we know we are not all the same. I beg you, join up today and speak up for all of our children, for every student in our charge, whether they are your own kids, your neighbor's kids, the students in your school. Tell the legislators the personal stories. Tell them about the students that are failing to graduate because of one thing, one test. Let them know, convince them, and continue to educate our legislators. You can do this. We can all do it working together. We have a lot of parents and teachers in this state. We far outnumber those legislators. Let's make sure that we are heard. Thank you very much.